Hi, today we are going to discuss verbs. The world of verb is so vast and wide. So in one session we can't complete it. So we will be going for two sessions. This will be the first session. Verbs. Verb is not something new to you. Right from your primary class you might have learned what is a verb. Your teachers might have told you what is a verb, what is a function of a verb in a sentence, what are different kinds of verbs, what is a classification of verbs. All these things you might have learned. But we will go a little deeper. Don't worry, whatever doubt or clarification you need, I will clarify, I will clear everything. Actually, verb forms an essential component of sentence construction. In tense point of view also, verb is very important because it is the form of a verb in a sentence that determines the tense of a sentence. So by all means, verb is very important. That is why we are discussing verbs. Actually, a verb is usually defined as a word that shows an action. Okay, right? Verb is a word that shows an action. But when we give this kind of a definition to a verb, the word action gets much dimension of meaning. How much dimension of meaning the word action gets? Let us see. I will write some sentences. You carefully go through that sentence, analyze grammatically, find out what is a verb in each sentence, and find out what is a function and what is a form that I use in each sentence. I killed a cock yesterday. I think of it now. I think of it now. And I am sad. Another sentence. This rod goes to Coimbatore. Another sentence. Our school faces a garden. Okay. Sentences are very simple. You can very easily find out what are the verbs that I used in these 5 sentences. Of course, in the first sentence, the verb is killed. In the second sentence, it is think. In the third sentence, what is it? Is it sad or am? It is am. Sad is an adjective. Understood? Sad boy. Do not confuse them. This road goes to Coimbatore. In this road goes to Coimbatore, what is a verb? Obviously, it is goes. Our school faces a garden. Faces. Anybody can easily find it out. Now let us see what is a function of the verb in each of these sentences. I killed a cock yesterday. What kind of an action is shown by this verb? What kind of an action done by the subject is shown here. Here what kind of an action done by the subject. Here, what does it? Here also, what does the verb show? Here also, what does the verb show? Think logically, reasonably. Our definition of verb is a word that shows an action, isn't it? When we define verb as a word that shows an action, the word action comes with a much wider meaning. Understood? It encompasses many different kinds of ideas. Let us see. In I killed a cock yesterday, obviously the verb is killed. What kind of an action is killing? By simply standing here, can I kill a cock? Let the cock die. Will the cock die? Never. Killing a cock is purely a physical action, isn't it? You have to run after the cock will run, again you will have to run, again cock will run, because cock knows human beings are very dangerous thing. At last you will running and running, somehow you will catch it, eat it. You may take the meat, you may make chicken fry, whatever you want. Okay, so killing a cock is purely a physical action, isn't it? Okay. Everything is over yesterday and now I think of it, killing that cock. When I think, what kind of an action I am doing? I am doing any physical action? I will think like this, No. When I was killing the cock, my hands, legs, body parts, everything was very active. But those body parts which were very active when I was killing the cock, now that become passive and my mind become active. My mind was totally passive when I was killing the cock. Only my body parts were active. Here, body parts become passive and my mind become active. Things go the other way around. See. So here, in short, here the verb shows purely a physical action done by the subject. Here the verb shows purely a mental action or mental activity done by the subject. What is the function of the verb here in third sentence? I am sad, thinking why I killed that poor creature, how beautiful it was with the shining feathers and all, and a crust over the head. Why I killed that poor creature, it also has a right to live on this planet. Thinking of it, I become sad. So, what does this verb am indicate? Does it show any physical action done by the subject like this? No. Does it show any mental action? No. Then what does this verb show? It shows the condition of the subject. What is my condition? I am sad thinking of it. Here the verb simply shows a condition. My state of being, isn't it? The state of my mind. So, here the verb shows a physical action done by the subject. Here the mental action done by the subject. Here it shows the condition of the subject. What does this verb indicate? Does it show any physical action or mental action or any condition as these verbs show? No. What about this? Our school faces a garden. Our school faces a garden. Any mental action, physical action, anything is shown in these two cases? No. Here these two verbs shows a situation or a state of being. A situation or a state of being. Understood? So, see how much scope the verb has got. We simply say a verb is a word that shows an action. But when we define verb as a word that shows an action, the word action comes with a much dimension of meaning. It encompasses all these kinds of activities, all these kind of physical action, mental action, condition, situation, a state of being. All these come under the word action. So we must know what is a verb, essentially what is a verb, what is its function, when we define verb as a word that shows an action, with how much wider sense we are using the word action and all. Okay, right. Let us proceed. Okay, now we knew what is a verb. Now let us go to the classification of verbs. We will discuss only primary auxiliary verbs only in this class, because the world of verb is so vast and wide, as I told you. So in the first session we will discuss only auxiliary verbs. In the second session we will be going to the other part, that is main verb. I told you the world of verb is so vast and wide. You want to see how much vast and wide the world is? Then have a glance. You see how much big the empire of verb is. Okay, so see how much vast the world of verb is. This part we will discuss in the second session, because in this session we can't complete all this because it is a very big world. Okay, so verbs are mainly classified into two: auxiliary verbs and main verbs. Auxiliary verbs, you know, auxiliary verbs are helping verbs. Auxiliary means helping. How many auxiliary verbs are there? As you see here, there are 24 auxiliary verbs. Am, is, are, was, were, have, has, had, do, does, did, will, would, shall, should, can, could, may, might, must, need, dare, used to, and ought to. Understood? What are the functions of these auxiliary verbs? On what ground grammarians have bifurcated auxiliary verb as primary and modal? Then what is the function of a primary auxiliary? What is the function of a modal auxiliary? This is what we are going to do in this class. This part we will do in the second session. So as I told you, auxiliary verb is a helping verb. What do you mean by helping verb? See this sentence. I am teaching grammar. I am teaching grammar. When I say I am teaching grammar, what is am? Is it a main verb or auxiliary verb? It is a auxiliary verb. What is a main verb? It is teaching. Then what is the function of this auxiliary verb here? Does it have any definite meaning? Can it stand alone? No. It is only an auxiliary verb. It is only a helping verb. It simply helps the main verb to complete its meaning. An auxiliary verb does not have any independent existence, nor does it have any definite meaning. It simply helps. All these auxiliary verbs simply helps a main verb like this. Hence, they are called auxiliary verb. These auxiliary verbs are bifurcated into primary and modal. On what ground English grammarians have done this classification of auxiliary verb, you know. When we do some classification, there will be some logic, some ground, some reason behind it. On what ground English grammarians have done this classification of auxiliary verb, you know? Yes, there are mainly four differences between a primary auxiliary and modal auxiliary. Four differences are there. It is on the ground of these four differences that this classification has been done. I will tell what is the main difference between these two auxiliaries. Please listen carefully. We are going a bit deeper. A primary auxiliary verb form. The root, the stem, the base of primary auxiliaries are be, do and have. This is the root, stem, the base form of primary auxiliary. And from this stem we will get so many forms. As you see here, from be, am, is, are, present forms, was, were, past form. From do we will get do, does, present form, did, past form. From have, has, present form, had, past form. And there are non-finite form also. From be we will get the being, to be, that we will discuss afterwards, non-finite. Now we are discussing only auxiliary verb forms only. So these are the base, the stem from which we get all these different forms. On what basis English grammarians have done this bifurcation of auxiliary verbs, that is what we are discussing. There are four main differences between primary auxiliary and the modal auxiliary. These are the differences. A primary auxiliary verb form, any of these. A primary auxiliary verb form can work both as a main verb as well as an auxiliary in a sentence. Once again, a primary auxiliary verb form is capable of functioning both as an auxiliary as well as a main verb. Whereas a modal auxiliary will always be a auxiliary only in a sentence. A modal auxiliary can never work as a main verb in any sentence. Whereas in primary auxiliary, a primary auxiliary verb form can be either a auxiliary or a main verb. I will show you some example, then things will become clear to you. I am teaching grammar. As I already told you, in I am teaching grammar, what is I am? Obviously it is auxiliary verb because it helps the main verb teaching. See this sentence. In I am tired, what is am? Sometimes you may confuse what is tired. Tired is not a verb form, it is an adjective. I will use another word, happy. When I say I am happy, what is this am? Is it an auxiliary like this or is it a main verb? It is a main verb because this verb stands here alone with a definite meaning. Does it help any other verb here? And is there any other verb here? Happy is a verb. It is an adjective form. It is a subject complement. So there is no any other verb here. Here this am stands alone with a definite meaning. So here it is a main verb. Like this, all these primary auxiliaries are capable of functioning both as a main verb or as an auxiliary in sentences. Now one more thing. I am teaching grammar. Here what is the tense of the sentence? Of course it is present continuous. I am happy. Here what is the tense of the sentence? Is it a present continuous? It is simple present. So don't jump into the conclusion. As soon as you see am or is or are in a sentence, don't jump into the conclusion that it is present continuous tense. A tense will become present continuous only if am or is or are is immediately followed by a verb in ing form. Okay? See another. Take another. Have. I have a car. I have a car. I bought a car. I have a car. I have bought a car. Sorry. That is simple past. In simple past there is no have. I have a car. I have bought a car. Very clear again. Here have is auxiliary verb or main verb. Here it is main verb only, just like this. Here have has got a definite meaning and it can stand alone. Does this verb help any other verb? And is there any other verb? No. So this is a main verb here. But then I have bought a car. What is have? Is it a main verb or auxiliary? Of course it is an auxiliary verb. Because here have has the main verb bought. Hence have doesn't have any independent existence nor any definite meaning. So like this, all these primary auxiliary verbs are capable of functioning both as auxiliary as well as main verb. A primary auxiliary verb form can work either as main verb or as an auxiliary, as you see here, but a modal auxiliary is always an auxiliary only. No modal auxiliary is capable of functioning as a main verb. Can you make a sentence with any of these? Can you make a sentence using modal as a main verb anywhere? See, I will there. I will there. Is it a sentence? Does it make any sense? No. You have to say, I will go there. Something is needed. Can you say, I can eat? No. You have to supply some main verb. I can do it. Not true? So, never a modal auxiliary verb can work as a main verb. Always modal auxiliary only. Whereas a primary auxiliary verb form can work either as main verb or as an auxiliary, as you see here. This is the first difference between primary and modal. There are actually some 5 grounds or differences due to which English grammarians have done the bifurcation of this auxiliary verb. First is this. Let us see what is the second one. The second difference. The second difference between a primary auxiliary and a modal auxiliary is that a primary auxiliary verb form is mainly used for tense formation. All these verb forms are used for tense formation. You know tense. Tenses are broadly classified into 3: the present tense, the past tense, the future tense. Each tense has got 4 forms. You may have studied all these things. What are the 4 forms of tense? Simple, continuous, perfect and perfect continuous. For all the 3 main tenses, these 4 forms are there. So totally how many tenses we will get? 12 tenses. They are simple present, present continuous, present perfect continuous, simple past, past continuous, past perfect continuous, simple future, future continuous, future perfect and future perfect continuous. Mainly all these primary verb forms are used for this tense formation. Let us see, am, is, are. Am, is, are is mainly used for which transformation? Present continuous. I am teaching English grammar. He is running. They are playing. Was and were. Which tense? Past continuous. They were swimming in the river. It was raining yesterday. They were going there. Do, does, did. In which tense? Do, does, did come as an auxiliary. It is do and does come in simple present, negative and interrogative sentences. He plays cricket every day. What is negative? He does not play cricket. He doesn't play cricket every day. This question, does he play cricket every day? Did. Did comes as auxiliary in simple past, interrogative and negative sentences. They went there last week. What is negative? They did not go there last week. Did they go there last week? So it is in simple past. Have, has, had. Have and has. In which tense? Have and has comes present perfect as well as present perfect continuous. And in future perfect also. He has bought a car. I have completed my work. Present perfect. He has been playing piano since 8 o'clock. They have been doing the work for 3 days. Note present perfect and present perfect continuous. Mainly to form these two tenses, this is used, and future perfect also. They will have completed the work of this building by the end of this week. They will have. So in future perfect also we use had. Had is used in which tense? Past perfect, as well as past perfect continuous. For example, they had bought an estate years back. They had bought an estate years back. Past perfect indicates most distant, most remote past. It had been raining for 3 days. It had been raining for 3 days, and the village road became muddy. So it had been. So had is mainly used in past perfect and past perfect continuous. So as you see, all these primary verb forms are used mainly for tense formation. But whether we use any modal auxiliary for tense formation, no. Except of course will and shall. Will and shall we use for future transformation. Except will and shall, no other modal auxiliary is used for transformation. These are called modal auxiliaries. Why are they so called? Because all these auxiliary verbs show the mode or the manner of the action denoted by the verb in the sentences. What do all these modal auxiliary do? They show the mode or the manner of the action denoted by the verb in the sentence, and they convey ideas like possibility, probability, capacity, ability, prohibition, giving instruction, asking permission, giving permission, advisability. Many different kinds of ideas are conveyed through these modal auxiliary. They don't form any particular text. This is the second difference between primary and modal. A primary auxiliary verb is mainly used for tense formation, whereas a modal auxiliary is not used for tense formation. That is the second difference. Then what is the third one? Third one is, after a primary auxiliary, any form of the verb may come. After a primary auxiliary, any form of the verb may come. You know, a verb has got so many forms. For example, if you take the verb go, from go you will get go, goes, went, gone, going, to go. See, many forms you will get from the root form of it. This is called root, stem, base form. From that base form you will get different forms. So after a primary auxiliary, any form of the verb may come. But after a modal auxiliary, only what will be there? Only the first form. Only the stem form, base form only will be there after a modal auxiliary. Let us see some examples. After am is are, what form of the verb will come? Past participle or past tense? Only ing form, present participle will be there. I am teaching English grammar. He is going. After am, is, or, are, ing. After was, were, again ing only in past tense. After do, does, did, which form? Only stem form, first form. He goes to school every day. He doesn't go to school every day. He bought 5 apples yesterday. He did not buy 5 apples yesterday. Isn't it? So, only root form, stem form will be there after a modal auxiliary, whereas after a primary auxiliary, any form of the verb may come. Ing form may come, first form may come. After have, has, had, what form of the verb come? After have and has and had, ing form will come. I have going there. Can you say? No, I have gone there. He has bought 2 kilo potatoes. He has bought. Can you say he has buying? No, only past participle. They had bought a bungalow years back. A had bought, a bungalow is had bought. Past participle. So see. After am is are, was for ing form. After do is first form, have has past participle form. Any form of the verb may occur with a primary auxiliary verb. Whereas after a modal auxiliary only stem form, root form. I will go there, I shall go there, I can go there, I may go there, I must go there, I need to go there, I dare to go there, I ought to go there, I used to go there, I would go there, I should go there, I could go there, I might go there. Can you say I might going there or I should go there? Can you say never? Only the stem form, first form will be there. This is the third difference between primary and modal. It is due to these major 5 difference that English grammarians have done, the bifurcation of this auxiliary verb. Let us see what is the fourth difference between primary and modal. Fourth and fifth is very simple. We can make 2 infinitive form with a primary auxiliary. We can add 2 infinitive. 2 infinitive we can form with the root form of a primary auxiliary. We can say to be, we can say to do, we can say to have. But can you use 2 form with any of these modal auxiliaries? Have you heard anybody say to will or to shall or to might or to must? Never you can use all these with a modal auxiliary. A modal auxiliary can never take infinitive form with it. That is the fourth difference. What is the last? Yes, we can use ing form. We can use ing form with the stem of the primary auxiliaries. We can say being, adding ing with be, adding ing with the do, we can say doing, adding ing with the have, we can say having. But can you use any ing form with any of this modal auxiliary? Can you say wouldding, shoulding, mighting, needing, or canning? No. Here you can use ing. It will become willing. Willing is a verb. Willing is an adjective. I am willing to do it means I am ready to do it. It's a will. It has nothing to do with the verb. So with the no modal auxiliary we can use ing. These are the 5 grounds due to which English grammarians have done the bifurcation of auxiliary verbs. Now, what are the different functions of a modal auxiliary? What are the different functions of this primary auxiliary? What these things we will do in a separate class because this is also a major topic. Not true. Modal auxiliary, primary auxiliary and all that. Now we are simply taking a bird's eye view on what is verb. So we are generally discussing everything. So exclusive discussion we will do afterwards. Modal auxiliary separately, primary auxiliary separately we will do. Okay. Now let me recap what we have done today. What is a verb? I have already explained. Verb is a word that shows an action. But when we give this kind of a definition, the word action is used in a much wider sense, much dimension of meaning. It may be a physical action done by the subject, a mental action done by the subject, or the condition of subject. It shows a situation, or it is show an existence or a state of being. Many things. To speak frankly, a verb is indefinable. Okay. Then verbs are mainly classified into 2, as you see here, auxiliary verbs and the main verb. Auxiliary verbs means helping verbs. Helping verbs simply help the main verb in a sentence. Auxiliary verbs are classified into 2, primary auxiliary and modal auxiliary. Primary auxiliaries are the forms of be, do and have. Modal auxiliaries are will, would, shall, should, can, would. The difference between primary auxiliary and modal auxiliary we have already discussed. There are mainly 5 differences between them. So it is on these grounds that English grammarians have done this classification. So okay, that is it. I think now you got a clear picture about what is a verb, what is an auxiliary verb, what is a function of an auxiliary verb, what are the different kinds of auxiliary verbs and all, isn't it? Okay. Right, so I think you liked this session. So please don't forget to click on the like icon if you like the class, and if anybody wish to subscribe, please do that also. Main verb we will discuss in the second session. So till we meet in the second session, thank you, take care.